Hi, I'm Jen DeTracey, and welcome to another episode number 6 of My Messy House, because MS is raw and real. So today we're going to talk about another random thought, but before we do, for those of you just turning in, My Messy House is a metaphor for the messiness that happens up here at this level in the brain, right? Those thoughts that creep in over and over and again and take over and create the messiness in our life. And when you live with MS, there is definitely messiness, all those layers that show up, and it's a variable depending on the day. One of the things that I struggle with is in my voice box. So sometimes my voice will kind of, struggle. So you may experience that. The random thought for today, let me just think, because it just disappeared, but I'm going to bring it back. I remember when I was going to the physiotherapist, and this physiotherapist I was going to was for people with neurological challenges. And it was amazing. This woman actually was, and I shouldn't say actually, that's kind of a funny way to put it, was in a wheelchair. So it's the first time I ever had a physiotherapist that, moves around in a wheelchair. It was kind of cool. And one of the things she said to me when I said, the fatigue that I have is, some days I don't leave the house for days. And I'm fortunate because I am mobile. So I can get around on my 2 legs and I don't need a device to do that. And I hope and pray that that will continue to happen. But I know not everybody watching this video is in that circumstance. You're probably on various scales around mobility and MS. And one thing that the physiotherapist Jill said to me was, she said, it's important that you get out every day. Even if you're just going around the block, just walk around the block or go around the block, get some fresh air, get moving. And I thought about that and I thought, well, that's a great idea. So, it's one thing to have a great idea and it's another thing to take action on that idea. But I could see the value of doing that. So what I've done is I've incorporated that more and more into my life. Do I get out every day? No, there's some days that I don't. It may be pissing rain, it might be super cold, super hot, and I don't leave the house. However, I am aware that the importance of this, and I'm aware of how my body likes it and appreciates it. So I'm consciously aware of it, which is really about, when we talk about My Messy House, the first step is having consciousness around something, to be aware of it. That's the first step. The next step is to put sort of things in place to ensure that happens. So there was a time I was taking a coaching course to get my coaching certification. And these were long, like 3-hour and 15-minute classes at a time which was not like the ideal brain time for me, from 6 p.m. till 9:15 at night. So that was a lot for this little brain of mine that's dealing with MS on a day-to-day basis. And one of the things I started to do was I said, okay, I've got a 15-minute break. I'm going to go around the block, because I'm sitting for a long period of time, which isn't great unless that's the position you're in that you have to be in because you can't stand, or it's hard to stand. I just want to acknowledge that. And so I would go out and do the walk. And if I didn't have time to do the whole block, because these blocks, I live in Montreal, the blocks, they're weird. They're like really long one way, and then they're short, and then they're long again. So when you're doing a whole block, it's probably like walking like 3 or 4 blocks for some people, depending on what city you live in or town. So anyway, so I would do those, and it really helped. It helped kind of switch my mind into a different place. And it's amazing when you're moving, whether you're using a device to help you move and you're physically moving, how that can change how the brain operates. And I found that very fascinating to have that experience and go through it. And it truly is, for me, a reminder that just taking that 10 minutes or that 15 minutes to get out, number one, to get fresh air, really, that makes a big difference. And then secondly, to get the body moving in some way can be very powerful. And it really can affect and diminish or temper the messy house that we experience. So I'm Jen DeTracey. Thank you for joining me for this episode of My Messy House, because MS is real and raw. Feel free to describe, I was going to say describe, but I mean subscribe. Just press that red button so you can be informed about more episodes, as well as I'd love to hear from you. You know, we're in this journey together. So write your comments below, like, share, do what you want to do to spread the love around the message and the learning that comes with these conversations that we're having. And thanks so much for joining me today. See you soon.